Today's strategy is going to be focusing on survey sales. We've talked about surveys in the past. We sent a few links out in our invite to the call to help prepare you for this. But we're going to talk about a specific type of sales strategy related to surveys that's really relevant based on everything that's happening in the marketplace today. What a lot of sales reps have experienced lately is there's a lot of noise, and it's been very difficult to get a hold of different decision makers. They're getting different COVID emails about every other minute, either people talking about what they're doing in preparation for that or how they can sell you something. And so it's become a little bit more noisy and more difficult to reach the decision makers. On our last call, we talked about how to cater to IT decision makers. Today, we're going to be talking more about how to cater to specific business owners and how to get in front of them. Because it's one thing to email them, but it's another thing for them to actually read the email and respond. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on today. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about surveys, and another way to look at this strategy is called Catechism Sales. And what it does is it allows us to figure out what's top of mind for the decision maker and try to solve that issue using a community effort. And so Catechism Sales, what it does is it takes pieces of information that's spread out across lots of decision makers and tries to come up with a solution to the problem through a group effort. And because you're leading this effort through the survey, you're able to kind of control and have power and have influence across these groups. And so obviously one of the things that are top of mind for business owners right now is the economy. How are they going to survive? How are they going to thrive? What are they going to do? And so everybody's coming up with different ideas and strategies, but what people love more than anything is to know what everyone else is doing. And that's why this strategy is so powerful, because whatever ideas they come up with, if you can figure out what the majority of individuals are doing, that's where you're going to have more influence and mind share with the audience that you're working with. And so we put together a sample, survey. This is just an example. You could definitely come up with some other questions, but these are some of the things that we have found that decision makers are thinking about right now. So the survey would focus on this, and again, you could focus on something else, but it would be, how do you plan on reducing business expenses in the future? And so what you would do is you would explain to the different decision makers in your communication, look, we're working with the community, trying to come up with a plan to figure out what everybody else is doing to see what the best strategy would be. And the way we're doing that is we're surveying the local businesses here to see what types of action items they're going to take. So we're going to be asking, are you going to be doing a headcount reduction, office space reduction, technology reduction? Are you planning on getting rid of your phone system that your employees don't use? Or are you getting rid of your CRM? Or are you getting rid of an IT guy? Are you reducing your marketing expenditures? Are you going to be doing less travel? Obviously, that's a big one right now. Are you going to be adjusting some benefits? Maybe outsourcing. Maybe instead of having a full-time employee manage marketing or IT or sales, maybe you might outsource that part-time to somebody. Or maybe work with an intern. Are you considering some other opportunities? So the reason you want to have some preset questions, because what this does is it allows you to create some graphs, and that's the more powerful area. But the other category is also helpful in providing some additional insights that maybe you hadn't thought of. It's something that you can share with the group. Now, some people use gift cards. I think that's a good idea depending on your budget. You may definitely work with some of your vendors or suppliers who would be able to help finance some of those gift cards. So you may find different video conferencing services, maybe some virtual desktop companies, but any of those companies would probably be willing to help provide that. The main incentive, though, that you're providing your audience in exchange for their survey is the results from the group results. And so in exchange for their time in their survey, you can provide a gift card, but you can also promise them that they'll be able to get a copy of what everybody else is doing. And so they can kind of see and get some insights and some helpful information to see what other local businesses in the area are actually doing. So it's pretty easy to do something like this. You can do this through Google Forms. There's a lot of different survey companies. Anyone should work for you. I personally like Google Forms because it has a lot of different tools that interact with other Google applications. But when you're working with this, it's also a good idea, if you haven't set up a lead exchange yet, make sure you go to leadexchange.org, join a group, create a group, find some members. The members that work specifically for this type of strategy would be business consultants, so bring on somebody who can maybe give them some ideas on other aspects of the business. Commercial bank account managers, maybe they need to refinance, restructure their debt. Commercial real estate agents, consolidating, subleasing, different things like that. That would also be very helpful. Commercial health insurance brokers. So anybody that works in that space would be really helpful in helping them maybe come up with a better insurance plan for their company in order to strategize from that standpoint. Commercial insurance brokers, accountants would be really good. They could definitely help them out. Managed IT companies, so if they want to cut their IT costs in half, maybe work with somebody part-time, these would be great members to bring together for this lead exchange. And so if you're not familiar with the lead exchange, we've done a few videos on that, but essentially everybody carries the weight of the sales process by divvying up the overall list and making calls and basically working together as a group sales force. But when the customers respond to these surveys, you'll be able to better understand what direction they want to take. So if they want to reduce their health insurance costs, you can bring in the commercial health insurance broker and have them help them out. But you could also see if there's something else you might be able to do. But basically what we're trying to do, again, is we're trying to get our foot in the door and trying to do so in a way that actually will get a response. Because if we're sending them an email directly about selling them a video conferencing service, that probably isn't going to go over very well because of the noisy marketplace that we're doing. But if you could share them information about what everybody else is doing in terms of saving money and consolidating, and they say, yeah, we want to reduce travel, then yeah, you could go in and talk to them about doing a video conferencing service and talk to them about how everybody's doing that. That kind of leads us to the next section, which is lists. Where can we work with? Who can we work with in order to get these lists? So there's a number of places. The local Chamber of Commerce would be a great resource. I'm sure they would love to be involved in something like this. Industry groups would be very helpful. So you may find different buying groups if you haven't formed one already. Magazines would have a great distribution list, and you might be able to get them involved, especially if you have some relationships there. Trade shows would also have a wonderful list that you could work with. A lot of these trade shows have been canceled, so this would be a good way for you to help create an excuse for them to engage with their partners. Local governments, so imagine the city who wants to support local businesses, trying to come up with strategies and ideas and helping them feel proactive as well. That would be helpful. You can create a conference call to discuss the results, so we'll talk a little bit more about it on the next call. You can also involve your existing clients, your LinkedIn connections, and also if you formed a lead exchange, you can exchange lists, so basically they're current and past customers, and basically everybody, you can survey the entire list across the board. So those are just some ideas, but there's a lot of different groups out there who have an audience in front of them who could help you accomplish this, and there's a lot of mutual benefits in this for both of you. You can also go to ensable.com/data and pull just about any type of list you need. So if you're looking for a local list based off of city, county, state, zip, technology, industry, sector, you can pull different types of lists there and be able to start doing that. There's a great book, one of my favorite sales books, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. Many of you may have seen our interview with Stu Heinecke. But one of the highlights of that book is the story about the sales rep who gives out the swords. If you've read the book, you're familiar with it. But essentially what this strategy is specifically for companies that are struggling, which is a lot of companies today. And what this sales rep does is he orders a sword and has it customized where it has the individual's name engraven on the sword, he sends the sword with a message basically saying, I'm here to fight for you in your business. And he has 100% appointment ratio with this sales strategy. So you don't have to send out swords, but think about maybe some three-dimensional sales giveaways that you might be able to do, something that instantly explains what your value proposition is. You could use a sword. Hopefully you don't scare away anybody with it. I think they'll understand with the note and everything what you're trying to do and be very satisfied with that. But this is a great strategy for the type of situation in the one that we're dealing with right now. But this would be very helpful. You can review that call with Stu or order his book. When you're sending out surveys, one of the nice things about Google Forms is you can send them out directly from Google. So you just drop in your email list in there, have it go out, and it'll start compiling information. Now, we talked about the different types of lists. Local lists are great. Industry lists are also great. One of the two I would probably recommend the most. One of the things that a lot of times people will forget is to capture the individual's email address. You need to get their email address in order to get them to know who to send the results back to. So in order for, again, that was one of the big incentives for them to fill out the survey, was to actually get the results of everybody else. And so you want to make sure that you capture their email in order to share that with them. You also might be able to write a blog or some information about what you found, provide some insights, maybe do some interviews. But I think that would be really helpful for the community as a large, something that they could share and put out there. Now, any type of sales strategy, really it's a lot of work to put something like this together. And so unless you create a cadence, you're really going to be raising your acquisition costs. So the cadence would consist of basically a follow-up, a case study. So let's say someone says, you know what, we're going to be reducing our travel. We're going to try this whole video conferencing thing out for the first time. Let's see how this works. And then you could follow up a month from then and say, can I interview you? Can we do maybe a video? Can we do a chat? Can we talk about how this was? What was it like? What did you not like? What did you like? So forth. And then share that with the group and say, look, this company reduced their expenses by not traveling. This is what they did. This is what they liked. This is what they didn't like. This is the provider that they had. Oh, and by the way, if you need access to this provider, let me know. And so it kind of goes from there. But case studies, but also follow-up surveys in terms of maybe the whole video conferencing didn't work. Maybe we talked about the benefits. How did that go? What did you do? And so this cadence allows you to continue to create excuses to engage and talk to these clients on a regular basis. And so unless you create a cadence, you're not really going to be creating a lot of value, because as we know, timing is everything. And the timing, it's hard to tell when that next sales opportunity is coming. But if you create a regular communication going out and provide value, then you're going to not only show up in their inbox, because everybody's emailing these folks, but the main thing what we want to do is we want to be able to gain their mind share. And providing valuable content like this on a regular basis is ultimately what gets us in the door.